What if England was not built as a finished idea, but assembled slowly through inheritance, conflict and compromise? Not a nation that appeared, but one that was negotiated into existence. Because in the case of the Plantagenets, power was never stable. It was always being tested. Welcome to the making of Britain. When the Plantagenet dynasty comes into focus in the mid-12th century, England is already a kingdom, but not a settled one. The crown is contested, authority is uneven, and regional power still matters deeply. The period following the civil war between Stephen and Empress Matilda, often referred to as the Anarchy, leaves behind a monarchy that must be rebuilt as much as ruled. The accession of Henry II marks the beginning of a more stable dynastic structure, but stability is not the same as simplicity. The Plantagenets rule not only England, but vast territories in France, creating what historians later describe as the Angevin Empire. From the beginning, their authority stretches beyond any single kingdom. One of the most significant developments under the Plantagenets is not territorial expansion, but administrative consolidation. Under Henry II, legal reforms begin to standardise justice across England. Royal courts gain greater influence, and common law begins to take shape as a system distinct from local customary practices. This does not mean uniform control. Local lords still hold significant authority, but the Crown increasingly inserts itself into legal and financial systems. Royal officials, itinerant justices, and fiscal records create a more connected state. It's not a modern government, but it is moving in that direction. As you've walked with me this far, you can really help support this channel by giving this video a like. It helps more than you can imagine, so thanks. Plantagenet rule is defined as much by internal conflict as by governance. The relationship between crown and nobility is unstable, and tensions often escalate into open confrontation. Under John, these tensions culminate in a crisis that leads to the signing of Magna Carta in 1215. Magna Carta does not immediately create democracy, but it does formalise the idea that royal authority can be limited by law and agreement. This is a significant shift in how power is understood, even if its practical application remains limited for many decades. During the 13th century, under rulers such as Henry III and Edward I, representative assemblies begin to evolve into more structured forms. The term parliament becomes associated with meetings that include not only nobles and clergy, but also selected representatives of counties and towns. This is not a democratic institution in the modern sense. It is still firmly embedded within royal authority, but it introduces a framework in which governance is increasingly based on consultation, taxation, negotiation, and formal assembly. Authority is no longer purely top-down. It's increasingly negotiated. At this point, it's worth asking, when does a kingdom begin to resemble a state? Is it when laws are written down, when taxation is centralised, or when authority begins to require agreement? Share your thoughts in the comments, because the Plantagenet period forces us to reconsider what governance actually means. Under Edward I, the monarchy becomes increasingly focused on territorial control, particularly in Wales and Scotland. Military campaigns attempt to bring surrounding regions under English authority, while also reinforcing the idea of a unified political identity. At the same time, the long wars with France begin to reshape English identity. The loss of continental territories in the 13th and 14th centuries gradually shifts the monarchy's focus back towards the island of Britain. Identity becomes more geographically concentrated, even as political ambition remains expansive. The later Plantagenet period is marked by instability, including succession disputes and internal conflicts such as the War of the Roses. These conflicts reflect deeper structural tensions within the nobility and the monarchy. Authority is no longer unquestioned, and legitimacy becomes a recurring issue. Did you know if you subscribe, there's a whole back catalogue of videos like this one for you to enjoy? Even in crisis, however, institutions persist. The legal and administrative systems developed earlier remain in place, providing continuity even as rulers change. The dynasty comes to an end with the rise of the Tudors in 1485, but its influence does not disappear. The structures of law, governance and political negotiation developed under Plantagenet rule continue to shape England long after the dynasty itself ends. The monarchy has changed, but the state it governs has been significantly transformed. The Plantagenets leave behind a kingdom that is more structured, more institutionally complex, and more politically aware than the one they inherited. Ideas about law, representation, and royal authority have all shifted. England is still a monarchy, but it's no longer governed solely through personal rule. Many of the systems that began under the Plantagenets, law courts, parliamentary assemblies, fiscal administration, evolve into the foundations of the modern British state. The period does not create modern Britain, but it establishes patterns that persist for centuries. If the Plantagenets show that a kingdom can be shaped through negotiation as much as conquest, what does that suggest about the nature of political authority itself? Is power something held or something continually rebuilt? Because the story of the Plantagenets is not just about kings and battles, it's about the slow construction of governance and the fact that it was never complete. YouTube has chosen this video for you to watch next. Have a look, I think you'll like it. If you ding the bell, you'll be notified when new episodes are published, so you won't miss any. Thanks for walking a little further down the path that made Britain with me. Take care, and I'll see you on my next walk. Bye.